You've all seen Reed Richards' chalkboard from the promo video for Fantastic Four First Steps. It looked like a fun little nod to his genius, packed with Easter eggs. But what if I told you it's much more than that? What if those scribbled equations and diagrams aren't just set dressing, but the actual blueprint for a multiversal catastrophe? This isn't just another theory about where the Fantastic Four have been. This is a conspiracy. A conspiracy that says Reed Richards' own work, his relentless need to poke and prod at the fabric of space and time, is what summons the devourer of worlds, Galactus, right to his front door. And even more terrifying, it's a theory that his science is directly responsible for creating one of the film's key threats, a brand new, terrifyingly powerful Silver Surfer. This is the chalkboard conspiracy, and it suggests the arrival of the Silver Surfer isn't some cosmic coincidence. It's a man-made disaster, and it might all be Reed Richards' fault. To really get your head around this theory, we have to start with the evidence. The supposed smoking gun. That chalkboard. At a glance, it's just the chaotic scribbles of a genius, complex, intimidating, and pretty much unreadable to most of us. But we know Marvel doesn't do things by accident. Every single equation, every diagram could be a breadcrumb. And if you follow that trail, it might lead to a horrifying conclusion. Let's try to break it down. The biggest thing on the board is a large diagram right in the center. It shows 2 points, labeled entrance and exit, linked by a swirling vortex. Right under the exit, the words, "Another universe?" are clearly written and underlined. This isn't just a simple sketch of a wormhole. It looks like a visual of an Einstein-Rosen bridge, the real-world theory that underpins all this multiversal travel stuff. This suggests Reed isn't just looking at the stars. He's trying to draw a map between realities. He's not just a physicist. He's a multiversal cartographer. That question mark is everything. It implies he's not just watching, he's testing a hypothesis. He's pushing at the dimensional walls, trying to punch a hole through to whatever is on the other side. Around this main drawing are clusters of equations that give his work some terrifying context. We can see notes that seem to be about gravitational singularities, space-time curvature, and quantum entanglement. These aren't just sci-fi buzzwords. They're the pillars of multiversal physics as the MCU has slowly defined them. Gravitational singularities create black holes and, theoretically, wormholes. Space-time curvature is how massive objects warp reality. And then there's quantum entanglement, the idea that particles can be linked across any distance. In a multiversal context, that concept is genuinely scary. If you can entangle particles across different realities, you're basically creating a cosmic tripwire. What you do in one universe could instantly affect another. It feels like in his obsessive quest for knowledge, Reed isn't just knocking on another universe's door, he's wiring it with explosives. One specific set of equations seems to be about brain cosmology, or M-theory. This is a real, high-level theory in physics, suggesting our universe is just one brain floating in a higher dimension next to countless others. Traveling between them would take an unimaginable amount of energy, enough to literally stretch space-time. Now this is where a very persistent and powerful rumor comes into play. There's a supposed line of dialogue from the film where Reed tells Sue, "It's my fault. I stretched the bounds of space." And they heard. As of right now, that line is completely unconfirmed. But if it turns out to be real, it changes everything on that chalkboard. The board is no longer a plan, it's a confession. It's not a map of what could be done. It's a log of what he already did. He ran the experiment. He stretched reality, sending out ripples, a signal that shot across the multiverse. He might have been trying to solve some grand problem, but in his attempt to be the savior, he might have accidentally become a siren. His signal a dinner bell for something ancient and hungry. Every equation on that board would no longer be a step toward discovery, but a step toward disaster. It's the conspiracy in plain sight. Reed Richards didn't just find the threat, he might have created the conditions for it to find them. He rang the bell. And on the other side of the void, this theory says Galactus heard it. Reed's work on that chalkboard would be dangerous no matter what, but when you place it inside the established rules of the MCU's multiverse saga, it starts to look downright apocalyptic. To really feel the weight of the chalkboard conspiracy, we have to remember the catastrophic precedents that have already been set. The MCU has spent years showing us very clearly that messing with the multiverse has consequences. It started with Loki. That show was basically our textbook for multiversal mechanics. We learned about the sacred timeline and the chaos that happens when it branches. When He Who Remains died, it didn't just create a few new timelines, it unleashed a chaotic flood. He warned of a multiversal war, which gives us our first rule. The multiverse is unstable and prone to conflict. Reed isn't just opening a door. The theory suggests he's opening a door in the middle of a war zone. Then we got Spider-Man, No Way Home. Doctor Strange's messed up spell showed us what happens when the walls between universes get thin. It didn't just pull in random people. It specifically pulled in people who knew Peter Parker. This gives us a second critical rule. Connections matter. A strong enough cosmic signal can create a pathway that draws specific individuals across realities. Reed's experiments, according to this theory, aren't just random noise. They're a focused signal of a brilliant mind pushing the absolute limits of physics, a signal that would be like a siren's call to a cosmic being whose whole existence is tied to the fundamental forces of the universe. And that brings us to the scariest rule of them all, from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, incursions. An incursion is when two universes collide, wiping out one or both of them. We saw what happened to Earth 838 because of its Strange's meddling. His world was just gone, the cause, leaving a large footprint in another universe. This is the multiversal death penalty. So, let's apply these rules to the chalkboard conspiracy. Reed Richards, from his 1960s-style world, is trying to build a bridge to another universe. By its very definition, his work is designed to create a large footprint. The theory says his actions don't just send a signal, they create a wound in reality, a beacon. This beacon could have two horrifying effects. First, following the No Way Home rule, it attracts beings tuned to that frequency. And who would be more tuned into a signal of immense, reality-bending energy than Galactus, the devourer of worlds? The theory suggests Reed's experiment created a new, exotic form of energy, drawing Galactus to his Earth like a shark to blood. Second, and this is a part of the theory that's even more chilling, is the idea that Galactus could be a multiversal constant. Unlike Loki or Spider-Man, who have tons of variants, some fans believe there's only one Galactus who exists across all realities at once. While this is pure speculation, if it's true, Reed's experiment didn't just attract a Galactus, it attracted the Galactus. Suddenly, the stakes are raised from a planetary threat to a multiversal one. This is the deadly game Reed is playing, according to the theory. He's a man from one timeline messing with forces that govern the entire cosmic structure, breaking rules we've already seen lead to total annihilation. His scientific curiosity might have made his Earth ground zero for a cosmic event, and the chalkboard could be his signed confession. He didn't know the rules of the game, and in trying to win, he may have doomed everyone. Which brings us to the first consequence of his alleged actions, the Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer is the first sign that Galactus is coming, a silver sentinel of the spaceways, heralding the end of worlds. For decades, we've known the herald as Norrin Radd. the noble man from Zen-La who sacrificed himself to save his planet and his love, CHALKBOARD. But it looks like the MCU is charting a different and maybe even more tragic path. It has been confirmed that the Silver Surfer we're meeting is not Norrin Radd. The brilliant Julia Garner is playing the part, and her character's name is CHALKBOARD. This is a huge twist. In the comics, CHALKBOARD was the one Norrin left behind, his reason for making the sacrifice. By making her the Surfer, the MCU is flipping the classic story on its head. Now, there is a precedent for this in an alternate reality comic called Earth X, but this seems to be a major change for her live-action debut. So, the big question is, how does this CHALKBOARD become the Herald? The Chalkboard conspiracy offers a chillingly direct answer. The theory suggests her transformation isn't because of a deal made on some distant world, but a direct result of Reed Richards' experiments on Earth. Unconfirmed leaks and popular theories propose that CHALKBOARD, may be an astronaut or scientist from her own world, stumbles upon a rift in space, a prototype of the very bridge we see on Reed's chalkboard. But the theory says this gateway doesn't lead to another safe universe. It leads right into the path of Galactus, who was drawn there by the same energy Reed created. In that moment, CHALKBOARD is trapped. To survive, or maybe to spare her own reality, she makes the deal. Galactus gives her the power cosmic, and she becomes his new herald, the Silver Surfer. If this theory is true, the implications are just staggering. Reed Richards, trying to explore the multiverse, wouldn't have just summoned the monster, he would have created the monster's herald. CHALKBOARD becomes a tragic figure made not by her world, but by Reed's. Every world she marks for destruction would be a direct result of Reed's tinkering. Her very existence becomes a shimmering, silver reminder of his failure. This would add a heavy layer of personal responsibility for Reed. He wouldn't just be fighting some cosmic threat. He'd be fighting the living embodiment of his biggest mistake. Julia Garner herself has described the character as having a mysterious energy, saying you're not sure if she stands with her boss or is just doing what she's told. That conflict becomes so much more powerful if her transformation is tied to the film's hero. Is she a villain? Or is she a victim, forced into this role by a chain of events Reed himself started? It all comes back to Reed trying to cross the stars and instead bringing down the devourer of them, forging the very weapon that will be pointed at his own home. According to this theory, the Silver Surfer is no longer just a herald, she is a judgment. So let's connect the dots of this theory. We have the alleged weapon, motive, and suspect. The weapon is the chalkboard, a blueprint for messing with the multiverse. The motive is Reed's insatiable, almost obsessive need to know and to push boundaries. And the suspect is, of course, Reed himself. The chalkboard conspiracy paints a picture of a tragic hero, the architect of his own doom. It's not just about what Reed might have done. It's about why he might have done it. Let's quickly recap the theory's evidence. 1. The chalkboard shows Reed is actively trying to engineer travel to another universe. 2. The MCU's own rules say that these actions have catastrophic consequences. 3. We know for a fact that CHALKBOARD is the new Silver Surfer, a major change from the comics. The theory is the glue that holds all these pieces together. Her transformation is the direct result of Reed's experiment. This creates a perfect, horrifying chain reaction. Reed's experiment is the cause. The stretching of space-time is the event. The arrival of Galactus is the primary effect. And the creation of CHALKBOARD as the Silver Surfer is the deeply personal consequence. Reed would be doubly responsible. He didn't just light the fire. He handed the arsonist the gasoline. This is where that rumored line, "It's my fault. I stretched the bounds of space," and they heard would be the linchpin of the entire theory. Again, it's just a rumor, but if it's in the film, it's the moment of confession. It would confirm he's not a passive victim of an invasion, but the active catalyst. His journey would become one of desperate atonement. He broke the universe, and now he's the only one smart enough to even have a chance of fixing it. Think of what that does to the Fantastic Four's dynamic as a family. How does Sue Storm react knowing Reed's ambition put their entire world in danger? How does Ben Grimm, the Thing, a man already trapped in a rocky body because of Reed's last big experiment, feel? It would be the ultimate tragic "I told you so." Johnny Storm's flame on attitude would be shattered by a threat his brother-in-law invited to dinner. The movie's core conflict wouldn't be the Fantastic Four versus Galactus. It would be the Fantastic Four grappling with the consequences of Reed Richards. This recasts Reed not as an infallible genius, but as a modern Prometheus. Prometheus stole fire from the gods for humanity and was punished for eternity for his pride. Reed, in his own way, tried to steal the fire of creation, the secrets of the multiverse, and his punishment, this theory suggests, is Galactus and the Silver Surfer. His genius is his fatal flaw. This whole narrative isn't just compelling, it also solves a problem for the MCU. How do you make Reed Richards stand out in a universe that already had Tony Stark and Bruce Banner? The answer isn't just to make him smarter. It's to make his intelligence more dangerous, more tragic. He's the man who can see all the angles but is blinded by his own ambition. The chalkboard conspiracy isn't just about plot points. It's a theory about character, and it paints a portrait of Reed Richards that is as brilliant as it is heartbreaking. So, what if this conspiracy theory is true? What are the real stakes here? If Reed Richards is personally responsible for summoning Galactus, the implications ripple out far beyond one movie. This theory wouldn't just set up Fantastic Four first steps. It could lay the groundwork for the entire climax of the multiverse saga. First, the immediate fallout. If Reed's actions damage the walls of his reality, his universe is now a weak point. This could be the very thing that leads to an incursion with our main MCU timeline. The Fantastic Four's arrival in the MCU might not be a triumph, but a desperate escape. They could be refugees, fleeing a dying universe that they helped break. This would put them on a direct course for Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. The whole conflict of Secret Wars in the comics is about the multiverse collapsing from incursions. Reed's actions in his first movie could be the inciting incident, the first domino that leads to everything falling apart. He wouldn't just be a player in Secret Wars, he'd be one of its primary authors. Then there's the idea of cosmic responsibility. If the fan theory about a singular multiversal Galactus is true, then the problem isn't contained to Reed's reality. It's now everyone's problem. This could be the perfect reason to introduce a council of Reeds. Our Reed, the one who supposedly caused the mess, would have to confront other versions of himself, some who might have made even bigger mistakes. It would be a multiversal reckoning for the character. And you can't forget the villains. This theory elevates Galactus to a true saga-level threat. But it also perfectly sets the stage for the MCU's other great mastermind, Dr. Doom. Imagine Doom watching all of this unfold. He would see Reed's colossal mistake as proof that only he, Doom, has the strength and discipline to wield that kind of power. The legendary rivalry between Reed and Doom becomes a huge philosophical debate about science, control, and morality, with the multiverse as their stage. So, here's the bottom line. If this theory holds any water, Fantastic Four First Steps becomes one of the most important origin stories the MCU has ever told. It's not just introducing a team, it's potentially introducing the original sin of the Secret Wars. It would be the story of how the smartest man alive made the biggest mistake in history and how the entire multiverse will have to pay for it. The future of the MCU wouldn't just involve the Fantastic Four, it would revolve around cleaning up Reed Richards' multiversal mess. So, is Reed Richards a hero or a villain? A savior? Or the man who doomed us all? The Chalkboard conspiracy suggests the scariest answer. He's both. The theory points to a man whose ambition got the better of him, whose experiments ripped a hole in reality, summoning a monster and creating its herald. It's a theory that turns the debut of Marvel's first family from a happy arrival into a devastating tragedy. It fits with the MCU's rules. It gives us a powerful and dramatic potential origin for Shalabal's Silver Surfer, and it perfectly sets the table for the apocalyptic events we know are coming. But what do you all think? Are you buying the Chalkboard conspiracy? Is Reed really to blame for Galactus showing up? Or is this all just a fun theory with a completely different explanation waiting for us in the theater? Let me know what you're thinking down in the comments. I really do read them all. And if you want more deep dives like this one, breaking down all the secrets hidden in the MCU, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's next. Thanks for watching.